Lee Braun has set world records, won a full share of championships, and been on many All-American skeet and trap shooting teams. Lee is equally renowned as a skeet instructor, and here he is.
Hi, folks. Skeet shooting was founded to help the hunter in the field in shooting his game birds. And as we proceed around the field, you'll find that targets fly to you and from you here at the skeet field at the same angles that a bird will fly to you and from you in the field. And this is the real nature of this game to improve your field shooting. There are a few principles in both field shooting and in shooting skeet that apply to both. But first and foremost, always handle your gun safely. Keep the barrel of your gun to the ground, your action open, and only load the gun when you get ready to call for your target. Now you'll note on the field we have some lines. These lines are to give you an indication correctly of where your foot position should be at each of the stations as we get ready to shoot. Now, next in importance, and I might say this is important anywhere, is that your gun must fit you before you can do real good shooting. And to fit you properly, the bead of your shotgun should fit right in the groove on top of your receiver, so that when you place the gun to your face, all you see is this bead right down the receiver. And you'll notice that I said place the gun to your face. And I'll demonstrate that once again. I place the gun to my face. Never place the gun to your body and go to your gun, because it puts stress on the neck muscles and will make you come off of your stock oftentimes. Now in shooting, whether it be clay targets or game birds in the field, you must obtain a lead. And there are three methods of shooting, which I'll try to explain, in which you can do this. There is first the swing-through method of shooting, where you start your gun behind the target, swing through as you touch the target or the bird, pull your trigger, and continue to swing. Second is you aim right at the target and pull your bead or your barrel out in front as to where you think you have the correct lead, and fire and follow through. Third is a maintain lead, which I use myself because I feel that it is simple and easier to do and has been successfully used by myself, so this is the type that I use. I'll try to illustrate these with my thumb representing the bead on my barrel. The first is the swing through. I'll start behind the target using your eye as the bird or the target. And as I move by, I'll pull the trigger and continue the swing. Bang, and follow through. The second type, as I explained, was the aim directly at your target, pull out in front to what you consider your correct lead, and then fire and follow through. I aim right at your right eye, pull out in front, bang, and follow through. Now the third method is the maintain lead. In this shooting, you never put your bead or reference point on the target. So I will start my bead or reference point out in front of your right eye and continue the swing as I pull the trigger. Bang. Now, you use all three of these, and they're all three correctly. It's just according to the person that's doing the shooting. Now, you want to be sure that your knee is bent at every position so that you can swing easily and let your entire body follow your hand, which will be pointing your gun. And pointing this gun is just the same as pointing your finger, and you do it in a relaxed manner. You never grip this forend. Never grip it, because then you're putting muscular action into your gun and trying to establish a hit with muscle and effort instead of a relaxed point. In skeet, for station one, you want to place your feet in a parallel position so that a line crossing your toes will make a 45-degree angle with that line from 8 to the high house. Then bend your left knee, extend your gun down and out at about a 30-degree angle. Then look about 15 degrees higher so that you can pick up your target fast. When the target comes out, place the gun to your face, watching the target, and the minute it settles on top of your front sight, shooting. That's the high house shot. Now, the low house target, there's about 40 yards to come to us. So we place our gun down and out with the bead under the flight of the target, call for the target, and as it appears, we start moving our gun, placing the gun to our face Get about a 10-inch lead, bang, and follow through. I'll break that target about 2/3 away from 8 because that's where I'll break it on doubles, which we'll go into in a minute. Now, the other shot at Station 1 is doubles. We have 2 targets in the air at the same time from the high house and the low house, but you can only shoot them one at a time, and you shoot them just the same as you did when you shot them at singles. Now, we'll try to put off both of these shots and give you an idea as to how it goes. Now, pull it. And you'll notice that I've placed the gun to my face watching the target. Now for the low house target, we place the gun so that we never have the target obstructed. Call for your target, and as you come along, establish your lead of about a foot, pull the trigger, and follow through. Now doubles is exactly the same thing, except you load 2 shells in your gun at the same time. And I would like to call your attention to the fact that you always should keep the muzzle of your gun at the ground so that there can never be a misfire that would do anything except go into the ground. Now, we extend our gun down and out at about 30 degrees, look up 15, call for your target, pull, and come back on your second target with a foot lead, follow through, and you should have both of these targets hit. Now, we have a camera that's mounted on a gun that captures for the first time the view a shooter sees as he shoots a target. It's a mechanical contrivance and may not be completely perfect, but it will give you a good visual impression of how the target looks when you shoot it. All right, we now come to Station 2. And at Station 2, a new shooter will feel that the high target is a difficult one. It really isn't if you'll only keep your gun moving with the target, and when you pull your trigger, continue to follow through. Just be sure to follow the target with the end of your gun. Now at Station 2, we make our feet parallel and a line through our toes extending to a line from 8 to the high house will make a 90-degree angle. Our gun point position is the same. We extend our gun in the same direction, making a 90-degree angle with that line. Place the bead on the line of flight of the target. Look back at the house, call for your target, and as you see the target appear, start your gun moving, placing the stock to your face, establish your foot or foot and a half lead, fire, and follow through. That should enable you to break the high house with no trouble. Now, to shoot the low house, you first look at 8, pick out a point 2/3 of the way back towards the low trap house. Extend your gun down and out. Be sure that the bead of the gun is under the flight of the target so it'll never be out of your sight. Call for the target, and when it appears, start your gun moving, placing your gun to your face, establishing a 2 or 2.5 foot lead, fire, and follow through, and you should have been able to break both of those targets with no trouble at all. Now next we come to doubles on 2, which is exactly the same as doubles at Station 1. You have to break one at a time. You have 2 targets in there at the same time, but you shoot them exactly the same way that you shot the targets in singles. Now, we'll try this and see how we do. We load the gun, put the gun into the line to make a 90-degree angle, put the bead on the line of flight, and then call for our target. Pull! Follow through, load your gun for the low house, extend your gun down and out, and call for the target. Mark. Now let's take another look at that shot. Mark. Now give me doubles, please. Put it. Now, we will go to the camera that's mounted on the gun so you can actually see these shots as the camera would, simulating your eye. We now come to Stations 3, 4, and 5 at Skeet. These are the most difficult stations in skeet shooting, and we'll try to start off demonstrating how each of these stations should be shot, and they are practically the same. The lead on 3, 4, and 5 is greater than at the other stations, requiring about 4 or 4.5 feet. Your gun position to start your swing, your foot position for your correct body position are a must. Now you'll note that we still have the lines at each station so as to give you a correct alignment of your foot position. And for the high house, we have a line running through our toes that will run to about 8 or 9 feet in front of the trap house. With your knee bent, this will give you a good, easy swing position, and you'll have no trouble pointing your gun. Now, to get your gun start position before you call for the target in the correct place, we look at 8. Now, after you look at 8, you go to a point about 2/3 of the way back, and you'll note that we've got a marker there to indicate this point. Then you place your bead on the line of flight of the target, look at your trap house, call for your target. As it appears, you start your gun moving, placing it to your face, establishing your lead of 4 or 4.5 feet, fire, and follow through. Now we'll try to break this target for you and indicate everything in shooting that we have just explained to you. We look at 8, we go back 2/3 of the way, place our bead on the line of flight. Now we'll call for the target. Pull. You follow through, and this is an absolute must. Now, the only difference in shooting the low house target is that you have a slight change in foot position. Your feet with a line drawn through the toes will extend out to about 10 to 12 feet to the left of 8 towards the high house. And when you have this position, your body will be in correct form. After that, look at 8, go to a point 2/3 of the way back to the house, extend your gun down and out with the bead below the flight of the target. Now we'll call for the target and try to hit it. Mark. Just look at that shot again. Mark. All right, we're now at Station 4, which we shoot exactly as we did at Station 3 in relation to your feet, your body position, your gun start, and your lead. Your lead here is the most important thing after you get your body placed, and that's 4.5 feet with a maintained lead style of shooting. And as at 3, you run a line through your toes out to a point about 8 or 9 feet in front of the high house. Then you take your gun, look at 8, and go 2/3 of the way back, put your bead on the line of flight, call for your target, start your gun moving, establishing your 4 or 4.5 foot lead, fire the gun, and follow through. And you should break that target with no problem. Now we'll try to break it. Put our gun, look at 8, go back 2/3 of the way, place your gun on the line of flight of the target, now call for the target. Pull. Follow through, and the target broke, and you should have the same results if you follow that procedure. Now, to shoot the low house, the only thing that's different is a slight change of foot position, which will put your body in a way of swing and point with no restraint or tenseness. We look at Station 8, go back to a point 2/3 of the way back to the trap house. We extend our gun out and down. Be sure that your bead is under the flight of the target. Look at the trap house. When the target appears, start your gun moving, mounting it to your face, establish your 4 or 4.5 foot lead, fire, and follow through. You should have no problem breaking this target. Now let's see if we can break it. Load our gun, look at 8, go back 2/3 of the way, keep our gun more or less under the flight of the target, call for the target. Mark. Follow through, you have no problem. Now we have the camera gun, and we'll try to give you an idea as exactly what we see when we pull the trigger here. Now we come to Station 5, which will end the 3 middle stations, 3, 4, and 5. Your foot position, however, brings you in the same place as you were at 3 and 4 in relation to the houses and to your target. A line running through your toes, extending towards the high house, will bring you out about 9 feet in front of the house. You look at Station 8, go back 2/3 of the way, and the marker is still there to indicate that area. extend your gun out with your bead on the line of flight, call for your target, start your gun moving, establish your lead of 4.5 feet, fire, and follow through. Now we'll try to break this target for you and demonstrate the principles we have just explained to you. You look at 8, go back 2/3 of the way, put our bead on the line of flight. Now we'll call for the target. Pull. Follow through, and you should break the target as simply as I did. Now for the low house target, there's a slight change, and that is your foot position. And we run a line through our toes, get our feet parallel to a point about 10 or 12 feet left of 8 towards the high house. Then we look at 8, go back 2/3 of the way to the trap house, extend your gun down and out, have the bead of your barrel below the flight of the target, call for your target, start moving your gun, obtain your 4.5 foot lead, fire, and follow through. Now, we'll try to actually break that target as we explained it. We look at 8, we go back 2/3 of the way, extend our gun down and out. Now we'll call for the target. Mark. Follow through. Both targets have been broken. Now we'll revert to our gun camera and try and let you see what we saw as we broke these targets. Now we're here at Station 6, and this is practically the same thing that we discussed as far as leads and gun point as we had at Station 2. The only difference being is our foot position and our gun start position. Now, it's imperative that we follow through on these incomers because even though you don't require as much lead, they're very easy to miss if you give up and stop your gun. So be sure that you follow through. Now your gun position is changed from 2 in that a line, and you'll notice the line going through my toes will extend to Station 8. And you take this position for both the high house and the low house target. For the high house target, you look at 8, go back 2/3 of the way, put the bead on the line of flight of the target, and call for the target. As the target appears, we start our gun moving, establishing a 2 or 2.5 foot lead, and breaking the target about 2/3 away from 8 to the house, and follow through. Now let's try that to see if we can break it like we explained it. Pull it. Follow through and you break the target, and you should have no trouble any more than I did. For the low house, you keep your same foot position. However, there's one difference in establishing your gun point. You put your gun straight into the line between 8 and the low house, and after you've gotten it in that position, move it a yard towards 8. For a right-handed shooter, this prevents you from shooting your gun in a jerk, and you can have a little better chance of moving your gun smoothly with the target. Now we'll load our gun, move our gun straight in and to the left, and call for our target. Mark. Now, we shoot doubles at this station the same as we did 2. We have 2 singles in the air at the same time. But you shoot each individual target the same as you did on singles. Now let's try it. Straight in and a yard to the left. Mark. Follow through, and you'll have no problem. We now come to Station 7, and this is the easiest station on the field, if there is an easy station. I remember a good while ago, I was shooting my optional from the high house, which is supposed to be the easiest target, for my 100 straight with a 410. And I was so sure of it, I stopped my gun and missed it, and it's made a lasting impression. And from then on, the only easy target I know of is when they've got it marked down on the scorecard. But anyway, to get into shooting this station, to get our body position right, we run a line through our toes, right directly through 8, right on into the high house, and you maintain the same position for both the high and the low houses. Now, to shoot the high house, we load our gun, put our bead on the line of flight of target. You establish a lead from 8 to 10 inches, call it a target, break it at the 2/3 away from 8 to this house, because as we've stated before, we want to break the target in that area on both doubles and singles to create a good shooting habit. Now let's see if we can't break that target like I've just described it. Put your bead on the line of flight of the target. Call for your target. Pull. Follow through, and you should have no trouble hitting that target. Now from the low target, it'll go approximately right straight from me. So look out into space and put the barrel of your gun down so that you can lift it to the line of flight of the target, set that target on top of your bead, and then fire, and you should break. All right, now we'll call for the low target. Pull it. Now, we repeat the same shots as we did at 1, 2, 6, and now at 7 by calling for doubles. And we have 2 singles in the air at the same time. Now we'll load the gun with 2 shells and fire at doubles. We extend our gun down and out and call for the target. Pull. Follow through. Now we come to Station 8, which is midway between the high and the low house traps. The correct body and foot position is for a line to extend through both toes directly and straight into the trap house. This is the high trap house. Then visualize the flight of the target from the trap house to this position so that it would be about 18 feet in the air and about 12 feet out from 8. To get your gun position correctly, you put your bead about 5 to 6 feet in line of flight of the target. You call for your target. The moment it appears, move your gun to cover it, fire, and follow through. And I might add that to make this shot an easier shot for you, try to break it in the area halfway between the trap house and your firing position. After it reaches halfway mark and continues, the target will have you under control, and you'll have to coordinate your knee bend, your shoulder movement, as well as your gun. Now we'll try to break this target for you in the same way that we explained the principle. We load the gun, we visualize the line of flight of the target, put our bead about 5 to 6 feet in that line. Now we'll call for the target. Pull. Now we'll go to our gun camera and try to give you that same picture. Now we come to shooting low house 8, and you shoot this target exactly as you did the high house, breaking it halfway between the trap house and this position. You have the same position at low 8 as you had at Station 1, and you'll see the line passing through our toes will make a 45-degree angle between the line and the trap house. Now, we look at the low house trap and visualize the line of flight of the target. We extend our gun down and out, placing the bead on the line of flight about 6 or 7 feet in front of the trap house. We call for the target, move our gun, cover the target, fire, and follow through. This should enable you to break the target with no problem. Now we'll try to break this target using those same principles. We extend our gun down and out. We put the bead on the line of flight about 5 or 6 feet in front of the trap mouth and call for the target. Mark. Now remember, in shooting targets at each of the stations on the skeet field, it requires concentration. Remember that. Always remember the most important thing in breaking targets is the next target, not a 25 straight or a 100 straight. Now we've shot all 8 stations, and we have been fortunate enough to hit all 8 stations, and we have 1 shell left, so this is called an option. We have the privilege of shooting this shell at any station on the field, but most shooters prefer to come to Station 7 and either hit the low house or the high house. I prefer to take the high house because I feel there's less chance of a miss. Now I'll take my option shot by getting into position, lining up my body properly, loading my gun, and putting my line of sight on the flight of the target and call for it. Pull. Follow through, and we're lucky enough to get a 25. Now we'll go from the skeet field to actual hunting conditions in the field and show you the relation and the comparison of skeet and shooting birds out in the hunting field. Here's 2 fellows out in the marsh, and they're after waterfowl also. And you'll find whatever the hunting situation, that Skeet will be a big help to you. He's watching, and they're coming. Now there's a low 3 shot, but those geese are too far away to shoot. Here's a couple of fine Skeet shots out after quail. And he got a beautiful bird dog. And look at that point. And there he is. There he goes. Now he's going to turn into a low 7 shot. There it is. Here's a fellow waiting for geese. There's a high 8 shot for you. That situation looks like low 8. These birds are very much like low 2. Now there's a station 4 shot if I ever saw one. Here's a pheasant executing a low 6 shot. And there's low 4 again. This is where those tough middle stations really help a hunter. Now there's a group of geese with their landing gear down that are coming in. But they saw something and veered off. There's a low 4 shot. There's a low 6, a low 7, and there's a high 2. Now every one of those angles is the same shot you'll have on a skeet field. There's a high 7. Now there's a quail that took a low 6. You can see how birds in the field fly to you and from you, the same as targets fly to you and from you on a skeet field. And this is why skeet shooting improves your field shooting, whatever you may hunt. And you can shoot skeet all year round. And if you do, you'll have a lot more fun when the hunting season comes around and bag a lot more game. Well, that's about it. We've shot skeet and we've shot birds in the field. And before we leave, I want to leave 3 impressions with you that are important. Always watch your target, obtain your lead, and follow through. We've enjoyed being here with you. It's been a real pleasure. And we hope that some of the points we've gone over will help you in your skeet shooting and help you have more fun hunting birds in the field. So long, folks.
Thanks for being with us, and we hope you'll join us next time for another great film. Sports Scan is distributed by Carroll Media.